October the 30th, 2023. Guys, you're looking at the national weather map right now, live satellite images. And this wide band of clouds and rain that you see covering about a third of the nation is a little more to it than what it's showing here, because this is matching the freeze warnings. That includes all the way into North Mississippi for my friends there, northwestern Alabama. And as this rain moves through and these temperatures drop in the next few days, you could see some icing on the roads, freezing rain, not hail, but sleet and snow, just because of the temperature drops. And we're looking at it possibly being freezing weather by tomorrow night here, and just above freezing tonight. But we're not quite in the rain yet. In central Mississippi, we are completely overcast. Also, just east of the Bahamas, you have a system here that's winding down. This cool weather that's moving across is just about going to shut down most of the tropical activity. There's a storm just off the map. You can see the top of it right here that's moving due west. It has a chance of development, but it looks like it's going to plow somewhere into the Yucatan Peninsula on a straight path. We will be keeping an eye on that, but if it moves into the Gulf, it's going to be dealing with the remnants of this cool front. Again, I don't expect a lot of tropical activity, but we will keep an eye on this system forming right here. It's about a 40 or 50% chance of development, again, moving due west. And I don't think it's going to turn into the Gulf. But, again, we will watch it. Now, let's look at the warning maps. Now, this is the national warning map. This purple area, which is freeze warnings. This right here goes from here in northern West Virginia across the central part of the U.S., and then where you see the clouds coming in that rain down through Arkansas, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. It looks like kind of the higher elevations between Phoenix and up towards Sedona. And then in Nevada, you've got some in the higher elevations in California, and then here into Colorado, guys. Western Colorado and eastern Utah, you've got these freeze warnings. Here in the light blue, you've got freeze watches. In this blue, a little darker blue, you've got frost advisories. And then these are, again, freeze watches and warnings. And then you've got very gusty wind conditions and fog in these areas right through here. Offshore, you've got gale warnings and small craft warnings, because being a sailor, I know I've had way more trouble with the winter wind coming off the coast and headed out into the Gulf of Mexico than I have with high summer winds doing the opposite thing, because these waves will be very smooth along the coast, guys, along the beach areas, let me say that. But by the time you get about a mile out, all that wind is built up in some pretty good waves, so just be very careful. It'd be a good day if you don't have to get out to stay warm and dry. But this is what we're dealing with now. I want to look at the situation in Israel for a moment. But I wanted to do this. In Israel, they have basically, the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, have cut off northern Gaza. We'll take a look at that. Now, War News 247 has not even updated its pages in the last 3 or 4 days, and we've seen that before, especially during the Ukraine situation, but they're doing it now also. But this is The Guardian, and they're saying that in the Israel-Hamas war, Israeli forces are reported to be advancing in 2 directions around Gaza City, as they're coming from the ocean side, the Mediterranean side, and the east side of Jerusalem, and they're pushing together. They're going to cut off northern Gaza completely, probably permanently, unless the war changes. And that's what has been the fear of a lot of people in the surrounding nations, is that they didn't want to accept the Palestinian refugees, but they have also expressed the concern that if they did take the refugees, Israel would never let them back in. But right now, they have bombed northern Gaza just about out of existence. It is a terrible situation there. There's now 8,306 Palestinians killed, 3,457 children. Now, they're saying that many nations, even South Africa, is calling for the UN to deploy rapid protection force to protect civilians in Gaza. Now, guys, we've never seen that happen when you had a major power playing, or someone that's has a very strong military. Usually the UN stays out of that until the conflict's over or something, but I just cannot see the UN blue helmets running in there and trying to stop the Israeli forces now. It would be a good thing to shut it down because you know how I feel about the protection of women and children and the innocents. And so the quicker the better. The report says Israeli forces appear to be advancing in two directions around Gaza City. According to reports in the Hebrew media, statements from Hamas and the Palestinian witness accounts. In the north of the Gaza Strip, Israeli armor was reported to be operating close to the Mediterranean coast, while Hamas said it was engaged in heavy fighting with the invading occupation force. Separately, witnesses report from inside Gaza describe Israeli tanks cutting the main north-south Salah ad-Din road south of Gaza City and operating on the outskirts of Zaytun and Sajaya, the neighborhoods of Gaza City. I know I'm butchering those names, but Palestinian witnesses told the AFP news agency that tanks were seen in the Zaytun district on the outskirts of Gaza City. They have cut the Salah ad-Din road and are firing at any vehicles that try to go along it. If confirmed, the cutting of the key road would suggest that Israeli forces are attempting to cut off Gaza City from the south in an effort isolating and laying siege to the urban sprawl that extends north all the way to the Bet Hanun and Bet Lahia area. Now, this is a map of the area they're talking about. It's saying the graphics are illustrating where Israeli tanks were sighted by witnesses on Monday morning inside the Gaza Strip. And this line right here, this is where they're coming in. This is the Salah ad-Din road that moves right here through Gaza City. So basically, if they're cutting it off here, anybody's inside Gaza City is not going to be able to get out down into the Rafah crossing. I think that's what it's called. That goes into Egypt. I don't know how that will happen, but they definitely will control northern Gaza and anything coming in or out of it, whether it's supplies, food, ammunition, whatever it is. But you can see exactly where this is coming together. You've got, they're saying that the tanks are also coming in from the other side, and we've seen in the videos lately that there's hundreds of tanks along this eastern border of Gaza. Now, guys, we're watching this. Don't forget, the next couple of days, to make sure that you have your pets taken care of, your water pipes are covered, sensitive plants and crops, or you're aware of what's going on with that. And we're going to keep an update on both that and what's happening in the Middle East. But we're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.